What is up, guys? It is Marcus from Perspective Sports, and today we're going to discuss what the Boston Celtics should do with the number one overall pick. But on top of that, we're going to discuss what they should do for the entire offseason. The Boston Celtics are in a position that everyone wants to be in, but few know how to handle. The Celtics have a ton of valuable draft picks. Draft picks include the Brooklyn Nets' first overall pick this year, next year's 2018 Brooklyn Nets first round pick, 2019 Grizzlies first round pick, and a 2019 Clippers first round pick that can be very valuable depending on this offseason because Chris Paul and Blake Griffin can leave this offseason, causing the Clippers just to blow the entire thing up. The Celtics also own their own picks. On top of having the stockpile of valuable picks, the Celtics have a ton of young pieces on good contracts. Players include Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley, Marcus Smart, Kelly Olynyk, and the biggest steal in recent memory, Isaiah Thomas, who they got from the Phoenix Suns for Marcus Thornton in a 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers first round pick. As you can see, Celtics GM Danny Ainge has done a masterful job as the GM, but what should he do from here? Let's start with the draft. In the 2017 NBA draft, the Boston Celtics have the first overall pick, 37th overall, 53rd overall, and 56th overall pick. And I expect the Celtics to continue to draft and stash with their later picks, as they did last year by drafting Ante Zizic, who I think will be brought over this offseason, Adele Nader, and Ford Yabusele, another player who I think will be brought over this offseason because it seems like the Celtics really wanted him last year when they put him in their D League team up in Maine. And he got a lot of touches, had a big game like 29 and 9 or something like that, and he definitely seems ready for the NBA. But as for this number one pick, I cannot stress how important it is for the Celtics to keep this pick. Fultz is not only a guaranteed star barring injury, but he's exactly what the Celtics need. He's a secondary scorer. He can literally score in any way possible. He could pass the ball, he could rebound, and most importantly, he can play defense. So putting him alongside Isaiah Thomas for years to come will be lethal. Not only giving them one of the better backcourts in the NBA, but giving them the best backcourt rotation in the league by a mile. Imagine Isaiah Thomas and Avery Bradley starting, and Markelle Fultz and Marcus Smart coming off the bench. Or having Fultz and Thomas start and having Smart and Bradley come off the bench. With the 37th overall pick, the Celtics should go with the draft and stash strategy by selecting Jonathan Jean, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, out of France. The Celtics desperately need big men and rim protection. Zizic could help out this season, but the Celtics could always use more help. I don't think Jonathan will be ready to come over this season from France, meaning the Celtics can maintain his rights, but keeping him off the books. With the 53rd overall pick, the Boston Celtics select point guard Kobe Simmons. I know, another guard isn't what the Celtics need, but no team will be interested in the 53rd or 56th overall picks. The Celtics will need to use these picks on someone, and Simmons likely won't make the roster, and he will either see time in Maine playing for the Celtics D League or will be dangled out there as trade bait. With the 56th overall pick, the Boston Celtics select small forward Dylan Brooks from Oregon. Another pick for the Celtics that will see time in Maine playing for the Red Claws or being used in trade talks. Despite being a good player, the Celtics just don't have enough roster space for him. Now that the draft is over, the Celtics must prepare for free agency, which means they need to clear just a little bit more cap space to pursue Utah Jazz small forward Gordon Hayward. And the most obvious contract that they'll need to move is center Tyler Zeller, who is owed $8 million next season, although it being non-guaranteed, and he will likely be riding the bench. And for those saying the Celtics should pursue Paul George, stop. George seems to be very interested in LA because apparently he doesn't like winning. And for Boston to trade a ton of assets for a 1 year rental would be a dreadful move. So that narrows the Celtics' realistic options to shooting guard Jimmy Butler from Chicago or small forward free agent Gordon Hayward. After drafting Markelle Fultz, acquiring Jimmy Butler will create a Phoenix-like logjam at the guard position, which would be disastrous for the Boston Celtics. So the Celtics should go all in on Gordon Hayward, which leads us to the first trade of the video, and it's between the Boston Celtics and the Houston Rockets. In the deal, the Celtics receive a 2018 Rockets second round pick. And the Rockets received center Tyler Zeller, a 2019 second round pick from Boston, in cash, basically a cap dump. So that clears $8 million off the books for the Celtics to pursue Hayward. And according to Basketball Insider, the Celtics had an estimated $32.8 million if they renounced the rights to Amir Johnson, Jonas Jerebko, and others. Now that the Celtics have traded away Tyler Zeller and renounced the rights to all the other players, they now have $40.8 million in cap space. Next, they need to lock up Kelly Olynyk, a player on a qualifying offer, to a team/player friendly deal. And the Celtics and Olynyk strike a deal for 3 years, $25 million. That would pay him around $8.3 million a year, basically taking us back down to as if we kept Tyler Zeller on the roster. Now, after locking up Kelly Olynyk, it's time to focus on outside free agents. Players the Celtics should target are Gordon Hayward, obviously, Atlanta power forward Paul Millsap, Denver small forward Danilo Gallinari as a backup option for Hayward, Toronto power forward Serge Ibaka, and Toronto power forward Patrick Peterson. Now let's say Gordon Hayward is ready to win. He sees the Celtics are able to compete now, and all they need is a small forward like him. And now that Utah can't offer him a supermax contract because he didn't make the All NBA team, I believe that's how it works under the new collective bargaining agreement. He nor Paul George now qualified for it. He decides to take the greener pastures, no pun intended. So let's say the Celtics and Hayward strike a deal at 4 years, $110 million. I threw this number out there because I can't find the exact number of what the max deal would be, so this is just a rough estimate. So the Celtics now have Gordon Hayward locked up and have about $5 million in cap space left. Here's where it gets interesting with Jay Crowder, who's now taking up $7 million a year with a reduced role, and Jaylen Brown, who's entering his second year with a ton of potential. Now, here's where our second trade of the video comes into play, where the Celtics are looking to get bigger and better at rebounding. And in this deal, the Boston Celtics will be working with the Portland Trail Blazers. The Celtics receive power forward Noah Vonleh, 2019 Portland first round pick, 2020 Portland first round pick that's lottery protected, and a 2019 Portland Trail Blazers second round pick. The Trailblazers will receive small forward Jay Crowder, newly drafted point guard Kobe Simmons, and point guard Demetrius Jackson from the Celtics. Clearing $3 million in cap space and getting bigger and better at rebounding with Vonleh, let's take a look at how the Celtics roster looks so far. I moved Foss to shooting guard because he's versatile and can play both positions. And as you can see, the 12-man roster could use a little bit more help. So the Boston Celtics reached out to free agent power forward Patrick Patterson to sign him to a 1-year, $5.5 million deal. And after this offseason, here's how the new and improved Celtics roster will look on opening day. As you can see, the bold indicates the starters. At point guard, you have Isaiah Thomas, Marcus Smart, and Terry Rozier. At shooting guard, you have Avery Bradley and Markelle Fultz. At small forward, you have Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown, and Yabusele. At power forward, you have Noah Vonleh, Kelly Olynyk, and Patrick Patterson. And at center, you have Al Horford and Ante Zizic. Overall, the Celtics can do a lot in this year's offseason. I feel this is the best way to approach the offseason. And in my offseason, the Celtics managed to keep the 2018 Brooklyn first round pick that will likely be a top 5 pick next year that they could use to flip for a player or use it to take a player like Michael Porter Jr. who can just make the roster even better. Well, I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know down in the comment section if you want me to do this with another kind of team, and I'll see you there.